Greetings, lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Respect. Family, we are in Ethiopia. That's Ethiopia over there. There's a big problem between Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan. In all this, in actual fact, is that Sudan is not so much worried about this that we are going to talk about, but Egypt is so worried. And I'll tell you the interest of Sudan, which is the reason why Sudan is not so much worried, but Egypt is so worried. This is a huge story in Africa, or between Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan. And the way this issue will be handled between these three nations could affect millions of lives in that region. So what is happening? Ethiopia has opened a new mega dam. This is a dam that Ethiopia is celebrating. Everybody is happy in Ethiopia. The purpose of the dam is to generate electricity for the people of Ethiopia. You know, it's a good news. Everybody is happy about it, but Egypt is not happy. At all. First of all, Egypt is disappointed that the dam is now going to be in operation because they have opposed the building, the construction of the dam since the beginning. And now the dam is now going to be in operation because they open it. Beautiful dam, amazing dam, and everybody is happy for Ethiopia, but Egypt is not happy. According to Egypt, Egypt says this new dam built by Ethiopia is a direct threat to its water security. And Sudan also is worried on one side. So we need to understand how this whole thing is working. We need to understand what is going on here. Why is a dam, a river, shaking the politics between these three people? I'll make sure that I break it down in simple terms. All of us will understand. Even if you don't know what is going on there, you will understand. Everybody will understand how this will affect Egypt. Why Egypt should be worried. And you will understand the worry of Egypt actually, the worry of Sudan actually, and the concern and the standpoint of Ethiopia. You will understand all the three. It's a whole problem on its own. So let's break everything down. I urge you to support me by liking the video and also be part of the family. And shout out to all of you who always hit the like button before even watching the video. That's great support out there. Thank you so much. Now, what is this dam which is becoming a problem between Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt? The dam is actually called the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. The abbreviation of this dam is GERD, G-E-R-D for short. So this is one of the biggest dams in Africa currently. The problem is not because the dam is built in Ethiopia, but it is built on the Nile River, the Blue Nile River. Don't worry, you'll understand. That is it on the map. For us to get a clear picture, we need to understand how the river Nile itself works and how it flows, and how the Blue Nile, which is coming from Ethiopia, is impacting this river Nile. Okay, there's a Blue Nile from Ethiopia impacting it. What role is the Blue Nile playing? And why building a dam on the Blue Nile becoming a problem to Egypt? On the map, the river Nile itself moved from Burundi, Rwanda, Lake Victoria, from there to Uganda, South Sudan, Sudan, and then entered Egypt. From Egypt, it entered a reservoir there, and from that reservoir, it spread to the Mediterranean Sea. That is just simply how the river Nile itself is operating. Now, the source of the river Nile is debatable, okay, where it comes from. When you go to Burundi, for example, they will tell you it starts from here, They don't know exactly where it comes from. Some people believe that it starts directly from Rwanda. So there's a whole lot of things surrounding the source of the river Nile. So it is debatable, but practically, everybody know that it starts from Burundi. Look at it this way. From Burundi, Rwanda, that is the circulation of the river Nile. Why it's affecting them, you will understand. From Burundi, Rwanda, then it enter a natural reservoir. You know, there's a lake there. This river will pour in there first. We'll go and rest in Lake Victoria before continuing the journey. Now, the Lake Victoria is bordered by three countries: Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. So when you check the map, you see that Uganda take some big portion of the Lake Victoria. Tanzania take, I think, bigger portion of the Lake Victoria, and Kenya is having a little portion of the Lake Victoria. So these three countries, you know, their borders, around their borders, the Lake Victoria connect them together over there. So the river now move from Burundi, Rwanda, and enter the Lake Victoria. So from Lake Victoria, it pushed through to Uganda, and then it moved from Uganda to South Sudan, and from South Sudan to Sudan. Now, when it is going to Sudan, from Sudan it's going to Egypt. Okay? Now, before it gets to Egypt, there is another river from Ethiopia. This river coming from Ethiopia is called Lake Tana, and that is the Blue Nile. The water that move from the Lake Tana from Ethiopia, the land of Ethiopia, this water always connects to the river moving from Burundi, Rwanda, and then into Lake Victoria. From there going, when it get to Sudan, the Lake Tana release water. There is water flowing from the Lake Tana from Ethiopia, and it connects to the river Nile in Sudan. And the meeting point of these two rivers is called Khartoum. So you see it on the map, it's displayed over there. The river Nile itself from Burundi all the way through the Lake Victoria and is going to Egypt, but this river always meets it in Sudan. And the meeting point in Sudan is Khartoum. From there, the speed become more and it go to Egypt. In Egypt also have reservoir. Okay, there's a reservoir in Egypt. They created a reservoir so that when it come there, it pour in the reservoir first before moving and spreading across. Because from Egypt, it go into the Mediterranean Sea. That's it on the map over there, as you can see. What you need to understand is that when you stop the flow or you slow the flow of the Blue Nile coming from Ethiopia, it is going to affect the speed and the water quantity moving to Egypt. Because 1 + 1 is equal to 2. So from the river Nile itself, going from Burundi, going past through. When you get to Sudan, once this water from Ethiopia meet it, it become more pressure come in, more water together. So it flow to Egypt. So Egyptians have more water. And I will tell you how this water is so important to Egypt. The role is playing in the life of Egyptians. Why they are worried. That is just practically what it is. In the most simple way, when the river move from Burundi and is going to the reservoir of Egypt, if it's going to take, let's say, 5 hours to fill the reservoir in Egypt, okay, the moment this water from Lake Tana, which is the Blue Nile, meet it, instead of, let's say, 5 hours for the reservoir to fill up, it's going to take like 2.5 hours, maybe. So the speed is high, more water. That is just practically the science behind it. Now, the problem right now is that the dam built by Ethiopia, although Ethiopia built the dam on their own land, that is a fact, but they build it on the Blue Nile. So Egypt's concern is that no, building the dam on the Blue Nile means that you are going to slow the process of circulation. You are not going to have much water. You will slow the process of water reaching us because this water is the lifeline of Egypt. So stop the construction. So Ethiopia started building this since 2011, and today it is complete. From that time of the construction, Egypt has been opposing this, that no, we cannot allow this to happen. And the purpose of this particular dam is hydroelectricity. Ethiopia want to generate power, light up the homes in Ethiopia, fuel industry, and even sell electricity to neighboring countries. And Sudan will benefit from it, which is the reason why Sudan is not so much worried, because the electricity can, benefit a little bit from it. But I'll also tell you why Sudan is a little bit worried. So according to Ethiopia, they don't see the reason why they will have this resource, which God give them is the natural resources from their land, and they can't use it to the benefit of their people, because you are thinking about your people. They are building the dam and they have completed it, which is one of the biggest news right now, and everybody is happy about it. But Egypt is not happy. The argument of Ethiopia is that many people in their country, they are not having electricity. There's electricity problem in Ethiopia. So this dam could change a lot of things. A lot of people who are not living with electricity now can live with electricity. So here is the problem with Egypt. The Nile River is Egypt's lifeline. Over 95% of Egypt's water comes from the Nile. Without the Nile, Egypt's farm will dry up, and people in Egypt will struggle to find water, either to drink, to cook, or to do whatever they have to do with it, because majority of the people depend on this particular water coming in. Say the fear of Egypt is that when Ethiopia fill the dam that they built right now, a huge amount of water will be held back and less will flow down into Sudan and then into Egypt. So if the water coming from there is going to take, let's say, as I used the first example, 5 hours to fill the artificial reservoir of Egypt. Now that this dam is in, Ethiopia will love to fill it dam first. So in that process, it's going to delay the circulation of water into Egypt. So it's going to take, like, let's say 10 hours. Maybe, I'm just saying it. But the time will expand, or the time will extend forward, whichever the English will put it. So Egypt is afraid of slow circulation, which is going to mean that they are going to be struggling with water, because these two water coming together is helping their country. And Ethiopia is saying that, look, the water is coming from us. assuming this water is not coming from us, you depend only on the river Nile coming from Burundi, Rwanda, South Sudan into Sudan. Because when they move from Burundi, Rwanda, enter the Lake Victoria, that is where it flew from there to Uganda and then get through South Sudan to Sudan and then get to you. So assuming the one coming from the Lake Tana, which is the Blue Nile, is not meeting it, you depend on that. So we are not stopping it. We are only trying to make use of it. We are going to make sure that it doesn't disturb the flow. After filling the dam, the water is flowing. But to Egypt, this could mean less water for farming in Egypt, less drinking water for millions of Egyptians. I said it, that 95% of the people in Egypt depend on this water. Less electricity from Egypt-owned Aswan High Dam. This Aswan High Dam is what I'm calling the reservoir of Egypt. You understand? This dam is what I'm calling the reservoir. When they move from Burundi, Rwanda, and then move to the Lake Victoria, the Lake Victoria, let's say, is just a natural order. Okay, now from there through Uganda to South Sudan to Sudan and then meet the Blue Nile and then go into Egypt. But because before it crosses Egypt, it has to enter their dam for electricity production. And the name of the dam is Aswan High Dam. So from there, before it moved across to the villages in Egypt and all the way and then entered into the Mediterranean Sea. So basically, Egypt sees this as a national security threat. You understand how this whole thing is working? So Ethiopia, on the other hand, is saying that we are not trying to steal water. We also want electricity, as you also have your dam and it flow in there and you have your electricity. But from Egypt, it's not disrupting anybody out there. So Egypt is the last man standing where the water get to. The water is going to get from people before get to Egypt as the last person before getting into the Mediterranean Sea. So you are using it to generate electricity. But the source is coming from us also. Why can't we also use it for electricity? So the dam, according to the government of Ethiopia, it won't permanently block any water flow. After filling, water will keep flowing downstream. And this is a development project for millions of Ethiopians. So you can't tell us to stop it. So for Ethiopia, this is about their sovereignty and progress. And there's something also in the middle. Ethiopia had the feeling that it is unfair that for decades, Egypt control most of the Nile's water under the colonial or the old colonial treaty. They signed an old colonial treaty which gives the power to Egypt to control the water. But now Ethiopia is no longer interested in that. They say that is unfair. Now let's not forget Sudan. Sudan, the country right between them, could benefit from cheap electricity from Ethiopia. That is first advantage. But Sudan also is afraid of, sudden fear. Those of you in Ghana, you understand. When the dam recently, they do the spillage and then, flood happened in the Volta region. Sudan is afraid of that though. But electricity production, okay, they are going to get cheap electricity because the dam is just close to them. Additionally, Sudan is afraid of drought if the dam is not well managed. So Sudan right now is caught in the middle of Ethiopia and Egypt. They are not saying anything much, but that is just their worry. But Ethiopia assured them that it will not affect them, as they are assuring Egypt that it will not affect them. So in regards to this particular problem, negotiations have been happening for years. Egypt wants something. What Egypt wants is that Egypt wants a legally binding agreement to guarantee enough water flow. And Ethiopia is resisting this attempt. According to Ethiopia, they don't want any outsider controlling their dam. So this practically has led to tension between the two nations, to the extent that it has even gotten to a threat of war. The Egyptians are saying that, look, you can't touch our water. No one can touch our water. Ethiopia is also replied that, look, this is our dam, built on with our money and on our land, from our own river. So this conflict is just bigger than water. At the end of the day, we can see that it's about power also. Egypt wants control. So there's a struggle for control, power, sovereignty, and survival here. Some people are trying for control. Some people are trying for survival and sovereignty. You understand? To the Egyptians, they are afraid. To the Ethiopians, they are okay. To Sudan, they are not sure. But the truth is that if this dam is handled well, the dam could bring sheer prosperity, electricity for Ethiopia, steady water for Egypt, and to Sudan. I mean, that is growth for Sudan. If it is managed well, it will not affect anybody. But if this is handled poorly, this could spark regional conflict in there. That's a big problem. So this is a story developing from there. When you look at it, Ethiopia, I mean, that's their land. That's their water. But you must think about your neighbors also. But according to them also, when their government was giving a speech, they said Egypt is worrying for no reason. Because they guarantee that it don't have problem with them. They can't have that resources. Because you want electricity and farming for your people, we should neglect our people. Everybody with their interests. So lovely people, that is what is happening in there. I heard that they are going to have some meeting, to negotiate more on how they can handle it, because the whole thing is now open. I'm going to follow up to make sure that I give you more updates. But I would love to know which side you are. How do you see this story? Who's to blame? Who are you going to blame if you are to handle this situation? Me, I can't blame anybody. I understand everybody is concerned. So they need to come together and work on it. But let me know your thoughts in the comment, by the way. Respect.